final speaker today is maybe she must have been very nervous waiting for her turn. Miss Han Sang-soo from Kim-hae Foreign Language High School in 경남세타 will tell us about career project in English classes. Please invite her on the stage.
Hello, my name is Sang-soo Kam from 경남세타. Today I'm going to tell you about how to integrate Korean materials into our English class. During the presentation, I'm going to tell you why I became interested in Korean materials. And second, the main part of this presentation, what I did with the Korean materials, and how students reacted to them, and lastly, what was the result of it. First, why I became interested in Korean materials. I just wanted to help my students explore themselves and their option. You know, a lot of Korean students, they have to study, and study. So they don't take time to think seriously, think about themselves and their options. What kind of things do you think our students need to know to become a good career decision maker? They need to know about themselves. They need to know about their values, interests, and skills. And on the basis of them, they can explore the options which can reflect their values, interests, and skills. Second reason is more practical. These days, a lot of universities are expanding their admission officers screening system. So to be admitted to a university, our students need to convince their admission officers by showing them what they have achieved in terms of their long-term and short-term goals. And a lot of things we do in our classes can be filed into career portfolio format and ready to be submitted to the admission officers or uploaded onto our students' EduPass system. And by integrating Korean materials, I think we can create more authentic language learning environments. English is not separate from their lives anymore, and students feel they are doing meaningful job using English, and which can work as an intrinsic motivator. Now let's move on to the main part of this presentation. As I mentioned, to become a good career decision maker, our students need to know about themselves and their option. To help them, would you move on? To help them explore themselves, I did three things: values auction, Holland party game, and skills matrix. Would you move on? Yes, one more time. Move on. Values auction was devised to help my students clarify their values. And would you refer to your book on page 214? There is values list. Students will be given the values auction as a handout, and individually they will go over the list and they're gonna choose their top 5 values. And then they're gonna prioritize their values. And then they will get together as a group, and as a group they're gonna prioritize their group values. And this will involve a lot of speaking activities, because sometimes our students need to convince their group members, and sometimes they need to compromise and negotiate their personal values for group values. And this will involve a lot of speaking activities. Once group decided their group values auction start. As the teacher, I'm gonna be the auctioneer, and students will bid for their favorite values. And I prepared a little video clip to show you how values auction class can be organized. Let's watch. And you will bid for your favorite, and I gave you $5,000 so you can spend that money when you bid for your favorite values. Here's your bidding pattern, and you can raise this pattern when you participate in bidding things. And you can increase your bidding money at least by $100. So the starting bidding price will be $100, and the next price will be $200 and $300 or $500, $10,000, $1,000. Sorry about that. So let's do that. Welcome to values auction. Value coming up is professional recognition. With this value, you will be respected by a lot of people. People will acknowledge your accomplishments, and you will feel proud of yourself. Who want to buy this value? The starting bidding price will be $100. $100. It should be $200. 500. 500. We have 500. 600. What is it? 700. 1,000. 1,000. 1000. 1100. 1100. Point once. Point twice. You just want to spend money. We also said 1100. You must know for that, and you raise that. If you want to spend that much money, and 1,300. Point one, point five, and 4, 2 groups. So that was the value auction. As you see, values auction doesn't require very high level of English proficiency, and it can be customized to meet the various needs of students and schools. And secondly, Holland Party game was introduced to help my students explore their interests. And it is based on Holland hexagon. Would you refer to your book on page 219? Let's have some basic idea. This Holland code was created by John Holland. He was a very famous psychologist, and he categorized people's interest into 6 different areas: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And he thought if people work and study in a field which matches their interest type, they will feel happy there. So, to have a basic idea, would you read the description of conventional and artistic? And what kind of relationship did you find there? Conventional and artistic. Yeah, they are very opposite. And if you compare investigative and enterprising, you will find the opposite relationship. And realistic and social, the same thing. So, when 2 codes are located diagonally against each other, it will be very different. Now, would you compare social and enterprising? What kind of relationship did you find there? They are very, very similar. Thank you. You are studying very well. So, if any 2 codes are located next to each other, they will have a lot of things in common. Now, please think about yourself and choose the code which sounds most like you and put the code in the first blank. And choose the code which sounds second most like you and put the code in the second blank. And lastly, choose the code which sounds third most like you and put the code in the third blank. And that would be your Holland code. And my Holland code was ISA. Once you know your Holland code, you were invited to Holland Party game. I prepared a little video clip, and in the game, you're gonna imagine you were invited to a mysterious island, and there you're gonna meet a bunch of strange people. As a host, I want to feel comfortable with strange people, so I want to put you together according to your Holland code. Let's watch. Would you move forward? All of you know when your Holland codes are. Let's do some fun activity. Just imagine you were invited to a mysterious island. There you're gonna meet strange people, and I will be your host. And I want you to feel comfortable with strange people. So I then you will go to your first coach, and there you will meet people there, and you want to share what made you decide to come to this spot. And I want you to share your ideas freely with people on your spot, on your coach. Can you do that?
Yeah.
You stand up and go to your first
What do you think?
yeah, as people usually they are very gregarious and very talkative.
When I have many friends is useful for me, so and I can be useful for them. So I need many friends and it can be very each other.
Then you also give them help and they also give you help.
Today you are alone here. What made you decide to come to I?
I like math. I love investigating.
You love what?
Investigating.
Investigating something?
Yeah.
So that's why you decided to come to here. So like him, sometimes students can end up alone there. So as you see around the classroom, I put Holland code on the board, and students will go to their Holland code and share why they decided to come to that spot. And lastly, skills matrix was designed to help my students organize their skill set. It can be formatted like this. Far left column is about skills, possible skills, and you can add more to the list. And top row is about activities from which you can get those skills. So if you offer this kind of format in a spreadsheet file to your students can easily organize the skill set they acquired from various activities. So now you have pretty sound knowledge about yourself, and it is time to explore the options which can reflect my interests, values, and skills. And I recommend onetonline.org website strongly because you can get very comprehensive occupational information there. Please try it out. Like this, you can get a lot of information from websites or books, but sometimes you don't feel that's enough. So that's why I integrated information interview into my English classes. This semester, I gave information interview as a semester project to my students. To do that, my students need to find someone in their field of interest, and they need to conduct an information interview, and on the basis of interview, they had to write a very short reflection paper. In the beginning, my students resisted, but I didn't give in, and soon their complaints subsided. They learned how to utilize their parents' contact, their friends' parents' contact. Sometimes they were just brave enough to visit a web page and posted interview requests. Some of my students were very brave enough. They were really into foreign affairs fields, but it was very hard for them to find a diplomat in Kimeshi, Changyumen, where my school is located. So they tried so hard, and it took them 6 weeks to find a diplomat who allowed the interview opportunity. And the diplomat invited my students to Seoul, and he gave a tour of Ministry of Education and answered the question from my students. And he even took my students to a lunch place where a lot of foreigners meet people from Ministry of Education. And it really boosted motivation to study hard for my students, and it actually planted a seed of hope in their heart. And this is the sample information interview done by my students. And I also did idea resume writing. If you are curious about, if you want to learn about writing resume, you can go to www.korea.fsu.edu. It is at Florida State University Korea Center, and you can get tons of Korea-related information there. When my students enter the school, I taught them how to create English resume. Then I asked them to create an ideal resume they want to have by the time they graduate from the school. This is to help my students to think about the activities they should do to make themselves strong candidate when they apply to a university. And by putting things on their resume, they can create very concrete and specific roadmap for their 3 years of high school life. And this can motivate them to be an enthusiastic and active learner. Now let's move on to my students' reaction. Overall, my students' reaction was very positive. Let's watch.
원래는 꿈에 대해서 그냥 별로 다른 생각도 없고 막연하게 생각만 하고 있었는데 이런 진로 활동들을 통해서 조금 더 꿈을 구체화시킬 수가 있었고 그리고 조금 더 꿈에 다가가는 느낌이 드니까 진짜 내가 이것을 위해 무언가 할 수 있구나 하고 있다는 것 그 자체로도 많은 도움이 되는 것 같고 미리 많은 것을 경험할 수 있으니까 더 좋은 건 없는 것 같아요.
I did a lot of activities related to the careers with Miss Han in English class. And the most impressive activity I did was the interviewing. And I interviewed a humanitarian worker in Uzbekistan. And before that, I had a vague sense of wanting to become a humanitarian aid worker. But then, after I interviewed him, I realized that I had this deep passion inside me that really wanted to become one helping others around the world. And I also learned about how to become one as majoring in college and the steps I need to follow through to become one. And also I wrote a resume for college in a class, and it helped me a lot to figure out what kind of activities I need to do to become what I really want to become in the future. So like that, I was able to set my dreams more stable in my mind, and I was also able to realize what my true passion was.
And they thought the career materials we did in English classes planted vision inside me, and I could blaze myself up with passion once again. And the resume I wrote in my first year has since been my future map. I've been able to contemplate about my strengths and weaknesses and set appropriate goals. And I have actually achieved quite many of what I put on the resume. And I'm still revising and adding more challenging goals. Completing one task by one, I felt my English writing improved. Of course, my vocabulary and grammar also got better, and it led to my overall English improvement. So students thought they not only improved English, but also became a good career decision makers. Oops. Would you move forward? Thank you. Move forward. And the result. By integrating career materials, I was able to have more interactive classroom, and students improved full language skills. And students will utilize career decision-making skills they learned from their English classes throughout their life. So I guess that is like teaching students how to fish rather than catching a fish for them. And students will have career portfolio for their admission officers. And that's all for my presentation, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
What an idea. I believe many of you want to ask something of her. And let's check on the Twitter and audience. Do you have any questions? Actually, I have one.
Okay.
In the video clips.
Yeah.
About the strengths.
You mean the values option?
In every clip.
Yeah.
Your student. Where are they from? What is their nationality? They were just great speaker.
Thank
They're
you.
fluent.
You're teaching to English speaker, right? Any questions from the audience? Okay.
Okay, so thank you for your nice presentation. And now we know what our values and interests and skills are. But how can you find the occupation which reflect our values, interests, and skills?
Right. So through the activity, students realize what their values, interests, and skills are. But they might wonder, what kind of occupation will reflect my values, my interests, my skills? And I briefly mentioned onetonline.org, the webpage, and I just cannot go there because, but if you try that webpage, they will provide advanced search, and it will allow you to search an occupation according to your values or interests. So you can use the Holland code you just have learned to. So let's say my Holland code was ISA, so I put ISA there, and the web page will generate the occupational list which matches ISA interest code. So please try that web page. Thank you.
All right, is there any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Han. As an auctioneer, you played a role in the first videotape. If I were there, I would buy your ideas. I think it's very grateful for the students because many of the students are very worried about their future, but they don't know how to decide, how to wise decision with the informations. As a second grade teachers and high schoolers, I already got some results of the Holland program or Holland career test, but I don't know how to use it. But as an English teacher, if I use some part of your ideas into my class, it would be a nice, special class for their careers in the future, I think.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Actually, a lot of students know about their Holland code because a lot of schools use Holland code as a psychologist test. So they know already the Holland code, and you can invite them to the Holland party game. Thank you.
방금 질문해 주신 분은 영어도 잘하시고 제주도 사투리도 잘하시고 대단하십니다. Okay, any other question? No? Okay.
All right, then thank you very much for Ms. Han Sang-soo.